Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the NoDQ.com live recap of Monday Night Raw for July the 5th, 2021. We are less than 2 weeks away now until the Money in the Bank pay-per-view in Dallas, Texas, but we had this show, and then after this show, we got two more WWE TV events at the Thunderdome. We got SmackDown, and then next week's Raw. Let's go ahead and get to this recap. Shout out to the chat room watching live. And thank you to everybody watching this on demand as well. We kicked off Raw with some pyro. And then we had MITB. You know it's going to be a rough Raw when MITB starts off the show. You had Miz and Morrison talking about Money in the Bank. Morrison with all of his lines about being the moist sea superstar, Johnny Drip Drip, yada, yada, yada. Drew McIntyre was the guest. McIntyre said he will not stop fighting until he cashes in Money in the Bank on any champion from any brand of his choosing. So I guess this week, McIntyre can go for the WWE title if he wins Money in the Bank. He then told a story, because that's what he does now. Drew McIntyre is a storyteller. And he told a story about the Alamo, since Money in the Bank is going to be in Texas, and I was falling asleep. He talked about being a relative of Davy Crockett. We then had Ricochet show up, so it was one of these segments where one guy after another comes down to the ring and talks. We then had Matt Riddle show up. He climbed up the ladder and he boasted about how high he was. Ha ha ha. He said he was going to dedicate his performance to his best friend, Randy Orton. Then we had AJ Styles appear and said that he should be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. If Riddle was not in the triple threat last week, AJ said he would have won. Riddle had his foot taped up and he wanted a high five from Otis. Otis just tipped over the ladder. Riddle landed on his taped up foot. AJ Styles took a cheap shot, and then Morrison attacked Ricochet. Drew McIntyre clotheslined Omos over the top, and then Ricochet broke the drip stick, which led to our first match of the evening, which was Ricochet versus John Morrison. We had Walter Cruz with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Walter. Says, so tired of Drew McIntyre and his stupid stories. And Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat, also on the topic of McIntyre. Is McIntyre trolling with his speeches? Guys, I really don't know what the deal is with McIntyre. Unless McIntyre is turning heel and this is planting the seeds for that, this is completely idiotic to have him telling these stories. It's like worse than just about anything WWE has done with a babyface. This is the type of stuff that got people turning against Roman Reigns. Not good. He needs to stop immediately, and I guess it's okay if he's turning heel, but yeah, not a fan of this. It's not making me want to see anybody beat him up. It's just making me want to turn off my television. So we had Ricochet versus Morrison. Last week, Ricochet did that big crossbody springboard to Morrison over the barricade. They both got counted out. So we had another match this week, which I guess makes sense because there was a double count out last week. And thus you want to have a rematch to see who the better man is. But guess what? We still don't know who the better man is because The Miz cheated and he attempted to use his drip stick at one point, but that did not work. And then both guys were on the outside of the ring, and Miz, who was in his wheelchair, blocked Ricochet from getting back in the ring. I kid you not. I will give WWE credit on that. At least that was unique. Ricochet could not crawl around the Miz and got counted out. But get this. They're doing another match next week. We're getting a third match, which again, I guess it makes sense. This time it will be a Falls Count Anywhere match. And that will be on next week's Raw, the final Raw at the Thunderdome. Thank goodness for that. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, at least Ricochet's not telling the stories. Look at you, Psycho Jet Black, always looking at the positives. It could always be worse. It could be Ricochet telling stories. We would really be in trouble if that was the case. And Life of Beto with a 20 pesos super chat, thank you for that, says, McIntyre needs to go heel ASAP. Well, the thing is, my feeling is that he's going to feud with Roman Reigns on SmackDown. He's going to get drafted to SmackDown as a babyface. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Maybe McIntyre wins Money in the Bank and goes heel. Against who? I don't know. Because Roman Reigns is a heel. Bobby Lashley is a heel. Not really sure where McIntyre fits in as a heel. But we'll see. TJS with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, TJS. He says, starting an hour and a half late and fast forwarding through the ads and recaps is great. Did they change Cross to Ash because of Cross coming up, maybe? My guess. I do not know that for a fact, but I strongly suspect that that's the case. Because in WWE, you cannot have two people with the same last name, even if it's spelled differently. And I get that, because in AEW, we got Cage and Page and Page, and it gets a little confusing. I totally understand it. They're going with a change for Nikki Cross, changing her name. Very well could be due to Karrion Kross being called up in the near future. And Karrion Kross did compete on Main Event again this week. So it's looking like he will be on the main roster sooner than later. TGS says, wonder what will happen to Adam Cole. Well, maybe he'll become the son of Michael Cole, and that's how they'll justify them having the same last name. Everyone wants me to talk about the Alexa Bliss match, which we will in just a second. We had Jinder Mahal taking a page out of the American Badass Undertaker's playbook, arriving in a motorcycle for some reason. And he cut a promo on Drew McIntyre. They were having a match against each other on this show. He said that he wanted to ride with McIntyre, but McIntyre turned him down after 3 days of no response. So maybe McIntyre is turning heel, because what a dick move to not respond to your buddy for 3 days to go riding on a motorcycle. We had Reginald backstage with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Alexa Bliss was standing in this dark room. Reginald saw her, but when Nia and Shayna turned around, of course, there was no Alexa Bliss, and they thought he was crazy, but of course he was not. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, why won't they turn Jinder Mahal into a face? Well, I think it's because nobody would buy into it. I mean, maybe if Jinder Mahal cut that promo he cut on Talking Smack all those years ago, it could work, but I'm not so sure. So anyways, we had an 8-woman tag team match. We had Nikki Ash teaming up with Naomi and Asuka and Alexa Bliss against the heels, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Eva Marie, and Doudrop. And this was the usual from Eva Marie. She would tag herself in and then throw a punch, tag herself out. She would do a couple of kicks, tag herself out. She barely did anything, and the stuff she did not look good, which some people are wondering, is she really not that good after all this time, or is she putting on an act and purposely looking bad in the ring as part of her heel gimmick? I don't know at this point, and to be honest, I just don't care. I'm over the Eva Marie thing. The Doudrop aspect of it is interesting, but I really don't see the point in Eva Marie being around. It's not a heel where I want to see this person get beat up. It's a heel where I want to just change the channel and watch something else. Dr. NXT Scorpio with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, I wish they do drop that name for Piper. Yeah, well, they're going with it right now for this storyline. Maybe they'll change it back, and the fact that they're just acting like Piper Niven never existed in NXT, it's a bit silly. So anyways, the most ridiculous thing of this match was not even Eva Marie. So we had Alexa Bliss. She started doing her supernatural powers, her hypnotizing of Reginald, but then Shayna Baszler just grabbed Alexa, threw her into the barricade, and that was it for Alexa. We never saw her again. Like, after all these weeks of being terrorized, all Shayna Baszler had to do was throw Alexa Bliss into a barricade, and voila, you've solved your Alexa Bliss problem. Like, what were they thinking with this one? Why did they book this match and then just have Alexa thrown into a barricade and act like people would not see what was happening here? Like, that was so stupid. I mean, to be fair, I haven't cared much about Alexa Bliss in recent weeks. Like, my interest in her character has been on a steady decline since WrestleMania, but yeah, like, she's supposed to have these supernatural powers, and she gets taken out of a match from being thrown into a barricade once? Why? I just don't know. Anyways, with Alexa Bliss taken out of the equation from being thrown into the barricade, it was easy going for the heels. Nikki Cross got a hot tag, but after everything broke down, Nia Jax hit the Samoan drop and picked up the win over Nikki Cross, or Nikki Ash, whatever they're calling her. So yeah, Vince McMahon must really love Nia Jax, because she picks up a win. She always seems to pick up a win in these matches, and whenever her side loses, it's never her taking the fall. Like, they love Nia Jax, Vince in particular. He seems to have some kind of obsession with Nia Jax. Nia Jax won, and yeah, after 2 weeks of getting pushed, Nikki Ash is already losing. So there you go. Nikki Ash, yeah, nice run she had. And then, of course, afterwards, Eva Marie gets on the mic and declares herself the winner. And I must have missed it, but several people mentioned it in the chat room. When the announcement was made for the winner was Nikki Jax, which, I mean, yeah, I would be confused too with all these name changes right now. Masked Ninja 76 with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, Alexa Bliss has changed my channel more than I care to admit. Please change her name, WWE. Change her name to what? Like, what would they change her name to at this point? We had, let's see what we had next here. We had an MVP Lashley promo. Not much to say about this one. We had Mustafa Ali with new music up against Mansoor. They trash talked each other for a little bit, and then Ali's foot got caught in the ropes. Mansoor was a nice guy. He helped Ali get free from the ropes, and then he went to go check on Ali, and Ali rolled him up and picked up the victory. Stupid babyface Mansoor, or I guess rookie mistake. At least in this storyline, it kind of makes sense because Mansoor's a rookie, so he would naturally make a rookie mistake. It's really stupid when guys like Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy fall for the distractions, or when they get outsmarted by the heels, because they're the veterans and they're supposed to know better. But Mansoor, at least I can buy it. And afterwards, Ali said that Mansoor needs to stop thinking with his heart and start thinking with his brain. All right. This was okay. Storyline progression a little bit. I'm fine with this one. But then, for every good segment, you got to bring it down with a bad segment. We had Drew McIntyre cutting a backstage promo with his sword, and he told us another story. Story time with Drew once again, talking about the Loch Ness Monster and the history of his sword. And I was like, kiss my ass. I don't give a shit about your sword. We then had Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal with Shanky and Veer. Boy, are those some intimidating names. McIntyre pretty much had the match won with the Future Shock DDT. He was going to go for the Claymore. And then Veer and Shanky came in to the ring, causing a disqualification. Mahal hit a super kick, hit the Colossus, and then he got on the mic and he stole Drew McIntyre's sword. And I actually popped for this because I don't give a shit about that sword. I hope Mahal takes that sword and throws it over a bridge, and then throws McIntyre over the bridge as well. You can go straight to hell. Yeah. What's up with various objects being stolen as of late? We had the King Corbin crown being stolen, and now we had the sword being stolen. What's next? Are they going to do a sword on a pole match at some point between Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal? Like, what is this leading to? Seriously. We had the New Day backstage cutting a promo about being ranked the #1 tag team in the world. We did talk about that on the No DQ review, if you guys are interested in our thoughts on that. And Kofi said maybe MVP and Lashley are just mad about all the truth bombs being dropped. Walter Cruz says, I hope Mahal takes McIntyre's spot in Money in the Bank. Well, don't count on that one. We had Mace and T-Bar against the Lucha House Party. We had the bad guys dominating the match. T-Bar picked up Lince Dorado and did this, picked him up and was spinning him and then just tossed him outside of the ring. And Metalik ended up saving Lince from the High Justice. And then Lince, with a sit-down Hurricane Rana, pinned T-Bar. Yes, T-Bar got beat on this show by Lince Dorado. I'm a fan of Dominik Dijakovic. Even though they stole my middle name from me, I still feel bad for the guy. Like, you just killed these guys. Mace and T-Bar, they're done. They're done. You might as well get rid of them. You just ruined their credibility as monsters. And I like Dominik Dijakovic. I like Mace as well. But you might as well make these guys the Ascension now. Like running around chasing the 24/7 title. They're done. Lucha House Party has been enhancement talent for years now. and you just killed him. We witnessed a death on Monday Night Raw. I mean, they were already in bad shape from the Retribution storyline, but you could have taken away the names, you could have pushed them and maybe booked them strongly and got them over, but it's over. It's over. We had Matt Riddle backstage with Damian Priest, and basically the point of this was, I guess, one, to get Priest on the show for 5 seconds, and then have Riddle make a joke talking about how he's going to beat AJ Styles with the 3 most dangerous letters in sports entertainment. RK Bro. Which, of course, is not 3 letters. It's 5 letters, but that's the joke. Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat says, where's Mia Yim and Shane Thorne? Shane Thorne's lucky if he ever gets TV time again. Mia Yim, maybe when Keith Lee comes back, she'll be back as well. Hopefully as Mia Yim, but who knows at this point. So AJ Styles versus Riddle was next. And Riddle threw his sandals, or at least one of his sandals, at AJ. Omos interfered, of course. He did a sweep to Riddle before the commercial break. And then after the break, the Viking Raiders showed up. During the match, AJ was working over Riddle's bad foot. And the Raiders were out there to even the odds. Styles, the stupid heel, got distracted. And Riddle picked up the win with a roll-up. The old roll-up. The fruit roll-up gets the job done again. Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, that's the joke. You suck, McMahon. That's a good line. Classic line from The Simpsons right there. Colin Andrews says Riddle is one of the best things on Raw these days. I mean, I would say the last few weeks. This week, nothing that special in my opinion. We had Charlotte come into the ring with a crutch. Said she might miss Money in the Bank because Rhea Ripley injured her. Rhea Ripley showed up also with a crutch to mock Charlotte. Called Charlotte a little drama queen, and then they both kicked the crutches away from each other at the same time. Of course, revealing that neither of them were injured, but we pretty much knew this all along. And they then had one of the most pathetic crutch battles I've ever seen. Like, both of them are great wrestlers, but clearly at the Performance Center, they never taught anybody how to have a good crutch fight, because this one looked pretty hideous. And Rhea Ripley eventually got the upper hand, and Charlotte fled. Now, I thought Rhea Ripley was a heel now, or they were trying to get her over as a heel. I don't know. And again, I don't care. I just want to see this feud come to an end. We then had another match that I can't imagine too many people on this planet giving 2 craps about. Elias and Cedric Alexander versus Jackson Ryker and R-Truth. And I guess R-Truth is just a magnet for the 24/7 title, because it just so happens, of all the matches on Monday Night Raw, it's R-Truth's match where Tozawa is getting chased by catering. Like, it doesn't happen in Drew McIntyre's match or any other match on the show. Only R-Truth's match, the catering guys all of a sudden decide they must chase Tozawa to the ring when R-Truth is there. And, this stuff was entertaining 2 years ago when they first did it, but it's beyond played out, it's boring, and it just wastes my time. So R-Truth ended up chasing the guys to the back. They all left, and Elias walked out on his partner, Cedric the Entertainer, and Jackson Ryker quickly made work of Cedric, beating him with basically one move. And that was the match. I mean, there was really nothing else that happened here besides what I just described. It was awful. It was just a complete waste of time. And Jackson Ryker is going nowhere. No matter how much they shove him down everyone's throats, Jackson Riker, it's going to be crickets when he comes out there in 2 weeks. I'm willing to bet money on that there will be crickets for his matches. Hell, there might be crickets for 2.5 hours out of the 3-hour Raw if they don't shake things up here in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be bad. Like, we're all looking forward to the return of fans, but let's be real here. It's a quick fix. Because if WWE keeps producing these lousy shows, it's going to be just like it was before, where maybe the first 30 minutes to an hour, maybe if they're lucky, an hour and a half of Raw, the crowd will be into it. But then they'll just completely die for the last half of the show. And it'll be like they're in an empty arena. We had Xavier Woods teaming up with Kofi Kingston against the WWE champion Bob Lashley, as Kofi refers to him as, and MVP making his return to the ring for the first time since like February. Xavier went after MVP's weakened knee. Lashley tagged in, and Xavier held his own for a little bit, but got overwhelmed. Kofi eventually got the hot tag. Lashley tried to distract Kofi, but Xavier made the save, and then Kofi hit the tip to Lashley, the Trouble in Paradise, and then Kofi hit the tip to MVP, pinned MVP. No surprise here, pretty much exactly as I expected it to go, and that was Raw. That was the end of the show. It was just filler. So all in all, Raw was pretty weak. It was a show you could have very easily skipped, and I struggle to think of anything that I would actually say go out of your way to watch. Like, I would say completely skip this week's Raw. Like, there was nothing that you had to go out of your way to watch. It was a filler show, very little storyline advancement, just on that treadmill for the next 2 weeks until we get back to live crowds. And at that point, we'll see if WWE has any kind of game plan. I mean, I'm sure we'll see some significant names return, and they'll start building up SummerSlam, and it might be a good month in late July, August. The question is, what's going to happen after SummerSlam once football starts up again? Will WWE even make an effort in the fall? Will it just go right back to how it was? That remains to be seen. We do have the draft, so yeah, maybe into early September things will be interesting, but by late September, my fear is it's just going to go right back to the way it was before. Same boring shows with the same format and very, very little change. All right, so letter grade for the show, it was bad. A few things were okay on the show, so I'm going with a D-. D- for this week's Raw. Darren gives it a D+. Muhammad with a C-. Curtis Butler for D for drowsy. Kevin gives it a C- or maybe a strong D+. Calvin Bowman, how about you, Calvin? Gives it an F-. Life of Beto with a D. Nolan Wright with a D-. Game is on 100 and Michael Wayne also give it a D-. And the Cleaver Colin Andrew gives it a C-. Anyways, we only got one more Raw, one more SmackDown at the Thunderdome. Thank goodness for that. This Wednesday, AEW Dynamite in Miami. We're finally getting back to some normalcy. Looking forward for that. I'll be recapping that show. Walter Cruz with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Says, D+. All filler main event was okay. Hopefully live crowd forces WWE to push the right people. What the hell are they doing with Damian Priest? I guess they're just waiting to fit him back into the storylines. He took a couple months off, and they're just waiting until there's a storyline opening for him. They got their plans for Money in the Bank, although there are 2 spots left open, but I think they're SmackDown spots. And maybe he'll have a match for SummerSlam. Maybe he won't. Who knows at this point? Anyways, guys, take care. Enjoy your week. And Calvin Bowman, my favorite Money in the Bank pay-per-view easily 2011 because of CM Punk. Take care, guys. I'll see you guys next time. Be safe and stay positive, but not COVID positive.